Right now at 10, there's a rise in the number of children being injured coming to and from school. What Dane County officials are doing to prevent these crashes. And another candidate throwing their hat in to become the next governor of Wisconsin. We'll hear what the main focus is for State Senator Kelda Roys. Plus, a ship missing for more than a century is found. The quest for the lost vessel and how researchers are studying it. It's all ahead on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Franke. Sarah Carlson is off tonight. New reports show a rise in the number of children injured traveling to and from school here in Dane County. Our Armand Rahman breaks down the numbers and talked with county officials to see what new initiatives are being put in place to protect local students.
Slow down and phones down. That's the message Dane County law enforcement agencies are sending after a rise in school-related traffic injuries. According to the nonprofit Safe Communities, last year in Dane County, 3 children between the ages of 5 and 18 were injured walking and 2 were injured while biking in school zones. Over the past 4 years, 27 walking kids and 19 biking kids were injured going to or from school. Back in the summer of 2020, Madison started the Vision Zero initiative to combat the sharp spike in traffic-related crashes and injuries.
You know, we can shoot for the Vision Zero. I think any step we can take is in the step in the right direction to enforce, you know, the laws that are on the books and also to educate drivers. So it's a nice vision, but we're not quite there yet.
Stoughton Police Lieutenant Chad O'Neill is one of the officers involved with the Dane County Traffic Safety Commission, which is made of 13 law enforcement agencies dedicating efforts now through September 19th to stepping up enforcement in school zones.
Drivers are being stopped and a lot of times just warned to educate them to be more cautious in the school zone.
Warnings and citations will also be given out to rule breakers. O'Neill says phones seem to be the biggest problem.
Distracted drivers and distracted pedestrians adds to, you know, these crashes that involve injuries within the school zones. And then for the drivers in particular, the speed and not being distracted is very important. And we need the phones to be down and for their eyes to be up paying attention within those school zones.
Officials say the trends here in the county match those statewide as well. You can also place slow down yard signs in your yard or your businesses, and they can be picked up at a number of local police departments.
Armand, thank you. Now, statewide over the past 4 years, 136 child pedestrians and 42 bicyclists were injured in school zones. Well, some folks in our viewing area are seeing some showers blaze. What are we looking at on Radar 3000 at this hour?
Radar 3000 is quiet for the most part, which is some good news. Most of that rain activity continues to stay off near the Dundee, Iowa area. Looks like maybe a little thunderstorm there as well. We're getting some radar clutter. I think that's the best way to put it, off near Darlington and then over into northern Illinois. Sometimes that happens, especially on these more humid nights. So while the rain activity is wrapped up for now, we may continue to see that rain shower threat continue into Tuesday for primarily the same spots that saw today out west, where we're still in the low 70s. Everybody else seems to have gotten into either the low, mid, or still in the upper 60s underneath clear to mostly clear conditions. As kiddos are getting ready for school tomorrow, upper 50s to upper 60s underneath mostly sunny conditions. By the time they're heading home, we'll be in those low to mid 80s with a light southeasterly wind. Temperatures across southern and central Wisconsin tomorrow looking very similar to today, maybe just a degree or two warmer in those low to mid 80s. Again, that rain chance further to the west, where we're going to see more of the partly sunny to mostly sunny conditions. Rain chances continue through most of the week, but they're not going to be complete washout. So we'll take a look at those rain chances leading up to the upcoming weekend in the full forecast.
All right, Blaze, thank you. Now to an update on an Amber Alert case out of Portage County. The biological mother of a 6-year-old child who went missing last week is now in custody. 31-year-old Chelsea Lehman facing charges related to the disappearance of Ruby Lehman. Last week, Ruby was reported missing from her grandmother's house in Almond. That's about a half hour south of Stevens Point. Chelsea is now scheduled to appear in court tomorrow. Oregon police are asking for help in finding a missing 17-year-old girl believed to be with an older man. Cadence Lee, last seen Friday in the village of Oregon. She's described as 5'2", wearing black yoga pants and a long-sleeve gray shirt that has a headquarters logo on it. The man described to be in his 30s or 40s, black hair, a mustache, and a sleeve tattoo on one of his arms. According to law enforcement, he drives a dark green 2015 to 2017 model year Chevrolet SUV. Now, police believe Cadence's most recent possible sighting came yesterday, about 4:30 in the afternoon at the Goodwill located at East Spring Drive in the city of Madison. Anyone with information with regards to her whereabouts, is asked to call the Oregon Police Department. There's a new candidate in the race to replace Governor Tony Evers. Madison State Senator Kelda Roy is announcing her candidacy today. This marks her second time running for governor, the first being in 2018 when she lost in the primary. In 2021, voters elected her to the state Senate, where she serves the Madison area, but she says now she's focusing her campaign for governor on lifting up the middle class.
We need to be expanding access to health care for people, especially at a time when health care options are disappearing and the costs are skyrocketing. We also need to look at housing costs, right? There's a lot that we need to do to help Wisconsinites thrive and make ends meet.
Also running in the Democratic primary, Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, and beer vendor Ryan Sternad. On the other side of the ticket, Milwaukee businessman Bill Berrien and Washington County Executive Josh Showman. The official primary for the governor's race scheduled for Tuesday, August 11th of 2026. Madison Metro Transit bus drivers are no longer without a contract at this hour. After 9 months of negotiations, the new contract between the city and the union representing Metro employees increases pay and safety measures. It includes a 3% pay increase each year and a one-time bonus to keep up with inflation. It also gives each employee personal protective equipment after several drivers were attacked on the job earlier this year.
This contract we penned in and we ratified some language on our internal assaults protocol committee, and we also added a couple days of paid administration leave into the contract for our employees that, unfortunately, if this ever happens again, we hope it doesn't, but if it does, we have some agreements in the contract on how we're going to take care of those employees.
And it'll be introduced for adoption at the next Common Council meeting, which is tomorrow. Well, you probably noticed your grocery bill is even higher lately, especially when it comes to the price of beef. It's shot through the roof, up 14% year over year as of last month. Americans were paying about $5.58 a pound a year ago. Well, now it's $6.32 a pound. But according to an S&P Global report, despite those higher prices, Americans have not cut back on beef this year.
When prices of protein go up the way they have been going, especially with beef, consumers will switch to another protein. But we just haven't seen that yet with consumers, and beef still is the choice protein to go to.
The Department of Agriculture's projections suggest the price of beef could go even higher next year. And while protein is incredibly important for our health, consuming too much of it at the expense of other types of nutrition does come with some risks. Weight Watchers International says fiber gets lost in the protein hype, but it deserves just as much, they say, if not more attention, while trends like the carnivore diet are concerning.
It's extremely restrictive, cutting out nearly all plant foods, which are going to be rich sources of fiber and vitamins, minerals, and then phytochemicals that are linked to long-term health.
Weight Watchers says now a good rule of thumb for more sedentary adults is about 1 gram of protein per kilogram of weight. So for a person who weighs about 150 pounds, that translates to about 68 grams of protein each and every day. Well, experts at the UW School of Medicine and Public Health are raising awareness about the important connection between hearing and memory. Doctors say 1 in 3 people over the age of 60 have hearing loss, and 1 in 2 people over 85 have hearing loss. The condition is increasingly being recognized as a risk factor for cognitive decline, including Alzheimer's disease. But doctors say it's one of 3 risk factors for dementia that can be treated.
If you have a hearing loss and you can get that hearing loss treated with hearing aids or other kinds of modifications to your lifestyle, your risk for dementia actually decreases.
And currently, the School of Medicine is running clinical trials to see if over-the-counter hearing aids are beneficial for people already living with cognitive impairments or memory and thinking problems. Archaeologists have uncovered one of the most sought-after shipwrecks on Lake Michigan. The F.J. King was a schooner that went under off Bailey's Harbor. That was 139 years ago today. The ship was bringing iron ore from Escanaba, Michigan, down to Chicago when it went down. Everyone on board was able to make it out alive. Earlier this year, the Wisconsin Underwater Archaeology Association, along with a group of citizen scientists, found the wrecked ship while following an account of the sinking written by Canna Island lighthouse keeper.
A shout went up, of course, and we kind of were pinching ourselves. We couldn't believe it that we had found this, sort of legendary, elusive shipwreck that quickly, and as part of this public project that we really had kind of put together more as a training thing.
Wisconsin state underwater archaeologists will now look at the wreck to find out more about the ship and its crew. Work is also being done to add the site to the National Register of Historic Places.
It's not been dived by anyone before, so it's pre-disturbance. So our understanding of what's down there is before people move stuff around, which they shouldn't do anyway. But again, we can learn a lot from it, and I believe that those are components that would make it eligible for listing.
State plans to release information on how divers can visit the site early next year. And still to come at 10, investigators search for a motive after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And the president solidifies his plan to send federal troops into Memphis. This as Illinois officials push back against the threat of Chicago troops on the streets there. Stay with us.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Officials in Utah have not yet released a motive in the shooting death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Utah's governor said the suspect, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, is not speaking to investigators, but they have heard from those around him, including his roommate.
The roommate was a romantic partner, a male transitioning to female. This partner has been incredibly cooperative, had no idea that this was happening, and is working with investigators right now.
The Utah County Attorney is expected to file formal charges tomorrow before the suspect's first appearance in court. President Trump made official his plans to send federal troops to Memphis, and this comes as he and Vice President J.D. Vance are taking aim at what they call the radical left following the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Erica Brown has more.
President Trump signed a memorandum Monday establishing a Memphis safety task force as part of his crackdown on violent crime.
The effort will include the National Guard as well as the FBI, ATF, DEA, ICE, Homeland Security Investigations, and the U.S. Marshals.
The move comes after the president announced he would deploy National Guard troops to the city.
In 2024, Memphis had the highest violent crime rate, the highest property crime rate, and the third highest murder rate of any city in the nation.
For weeks, the president has also threatened to send troops to Chicago, sparking pushback from state officials.
Chicago does not want troops on our streets.
President Trump's crackdown on crime also comes as his administration takes aim at what they're calling left-wing extremism, following the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
But the radical left really is caused a lot of problems for this country. I really think they hate our country.
Monday, Vice President J.D. Vance hosted Kirk's podcast and vowed to dismantle institutions that promote violence.
We have to talk about this incredibly destructive movement of left-wing extremism that has grown up over the last few years, and I believe is part of the reason why Charlie was killed by an assassin's bullet.
The investigation into the motive of Kirk's assassination is ongoing. The suspect in the shooting, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, is scheduled to be arraigned on Tuesday. President Trump will attend Kirk's memorial in Arizona this weekend. Erica Brown, CBS News, Washington.
Well, showers are possible to our west, but will we get any rain in the coming days? Meteorologist Blaise Keller joins us now with the answer. Blaise?
And we are looking at isolated rain chances as we head into Tuesday, further into Wednesday, with a better chance for more of us to see those isolated showers to scattered showers and thunderstorms as we go into the weekend. So Tuesday is going to be very similar to like what we saw today. Further to the west, you're going to be underneath a little bit more cloud cover. Maybe we squeeze out a shower or two, maybe a thunderstorm as well. Further to the east, we're going to remain a little bit more on the sunnier side, as seen here on Future Track. We're starting off in the afternoon on Tuesday. Cloud cover going to continue to really hug the Mississippi River as winds remain out of the southeast. But notice as we go into Wednesday that we start to see more of those clouds making their way into now central parts of Wisconsin. That's because we're saying goodbye to this exiting high pressure system as winds turn more out of the south and then eventually out of the southwest. So once we get into Wednesday, that's when we'll start to move in to more of central and eastern parts of Wisconsin, the better chance for rain. That low pressure system that once looked pretty promising, pretty organized, has really fallen apart, which is both good and bad. Good because then we don't see maybe that isolated chance for severe weather. Bad because even though it's going to be coming on the weekend. The less organized the system is, the less chance we're going to have of more of that soaking rain, the rain that maybe will put a little bit more moisture into the ground. As we go into the weekend, since this low pressure system is getting really stretched thin, the rain is not going to be as organized. Hit or miss chances as we go not only Friday night into Saturday, but then Saturday into Sunday, Sunday into Monday. Sunday into Monday, though, we may see a little bit more organization along this cold front. But for the most part, don't cancel any outdoor plans if you've already started to make some for the upcoming weekend. Take us with you on your phone or your mobile device. You can download the First Warn Weather app's interactive radar, and from there, before you head on out this weekend or really in the next couple of days, check to see if there's a shower nearby. But likely, you're probably not going to be impacted by rain. And it's okay that we don't really see a whole lot of rain, even though we could use some. We're not trending into drought conditions yet. Only about 4% of Wisconsin is underneath abnormally dry conditions across far southeastern, northeastern, and the northwestern parts of Wisconsin. We're coming off of a very wet August. So we still have a little bit of moisture that we can kind of use here in case we continue these prolonged dry periods. Obviously, if that gets further into later September into October, then we start to worry. But for now, we are okay. In terms of temperatures, we are not saying goodbye to the warmth either. We're going to continue to remain warmer than average as we go over the next 7 to 10 days, hanging out in those 80s all the way through at least Thursday of this week. A little bit cooler there on Friday, but I still suspect some of us will be in the 80s. We cool off this weekend into the low to mid 70s, but it's still remaining above average, and will dry out as we go into next week with maybe another return of those low 70s by the middle of our upcoming work week.
All right, Blaze, thank you. Well, the Packers got a break over the weekend after their win over Washington, but this coming weekend's game could prove to be rather challenging for the offense. We'll explain next in sports.
This week, Colbert's all new with Jake Tapper, Brandy Carlisle, Ron Howard, and Gary Oldman takes the Colbert Questionnaire. Hey! CBS This Week.
Well, it feels a little early maybe to be thinking about Christmas, but you know what? It's not, because kids can now start sending their letters, yes, in mid-September, to Santa. It's Operation Santa. The Postal Service links letter writers with generous people and groups who help grant their holiday wishes. Now, we do have some important tips if you want to send a letter. The envelope needs to include the writer's full name and, of course, return address. And Santa's address is very simple. Simply address it to Santa, 123 Elf Road, and that is North Pole. And the zip code of the North Pole, very easy. It's just all snowmen. 88888.
Oh my gosh.
There
if you
go.
hadn't said that.
Yeah, figure it all out. Letters need to be postmarked by December 6th. And for the first time, those who want to fulfill wishes can do so for multiple people at once. They can simply adopt a family letter.
Yeah, I got to get him in the mail now because he's got a lot of stuff.
That's right. And before you know it, we'll have snow on the ground, but right now it's still feeling a lot like summer out there. I like it.
Yeah. We got the 80s through pretty much the rest of the week. A few chances for rain here and there, but nothing to really write home about, nothing to cancel plans over, at least through Thursday of this week. Starting out in the 50s tomorrow, ending the day in the low to mid 80s. A little bit more cloud cover in the morning, and then mostly sunny conditions to sunny conditions by the afternoon across central and eastern parts of the state. Further to the west, a little bit more cloud cover, probably leaning more partly sunny. Rain chances over the weekend, low to mid 70s, and then we dry out for next week.
And Santa will be here before you know it, so enjoy it. Colbert's coming up next. You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+.